Okay. This thing working? This thing working? Uh, Hello? Okay. Alright. So, um, we have YouTube and Netflix deployed AI and behavioral tracking to intensify targeting advertising, which I think is absolutely very Orwellian. Behavioral tracking is very Orwellian. 1984 behavioral tracking, meaning tracking your behavior, but also could be, uh, put in a database and you're a naughty person because you behave like this or you behave like that. It could totally be used in a incorrect manner. Um, I'm completely opposed to things like this. I find them to be very Orwellian, wrong, and very likely to violate people's rights, especially Fourth Amendment rights, and in general. Um, that's why I speak out against these things, because I think it's important, even as these things happen, but I still think it's important to bring people to terms with these things and, and inform them and educate them, so then they can make the right decision on what they want to do with this information. I'm not here saying that people should stop using. I'm not here saying that people should stop using YouTube or stop using Netflix. I'm just giving you more what they're doing with the technology, so you can be informed. Uh, Comes in the form of Peak Points, a format that leverages Google Gemini AI to stack video content and identify the exact moment a user is most emotionally invested, meaning that it wants to identify a visual, uh, the exact moment a viewer is most emotionally invested, aka emotionally manipulate them for the algorithm. Uh, Emotionally manipulate them for the monetize viewer behavior. I wouldn't necessarily say they monetize viewer behavior, but I would say they manipulate the viewer's behavior. Manipulation the viewer's behavior, and want the viewer behavior to be according to Google Gemini AI and how they want to manipulate the algorithm and things like that. YouTube upwent event in New York where the company picked it as a smarter way to keep audiences engaged with advertisements. It's not a smarter way to it's not a smarter way to keep audiences engaged with advertisements. it's a way for YouTube to manipulate and use the advertisement and the tracking technology to manipulate people. That's what it's used for. It's it's not a smarter way to keep audiences engaged. It's just ways for YouTube to further manipulate things and people to emotional appeal and brainwashing tactics and control using Google's Gemini AI. That's why they're using Google Gemini AI to manipulate more people along with Google. Along using Google Gemini AI along with YouTube, connecting that to Google and then connecting Google with YouTube to further manipulate them. For me, it's not that I don't think Netflix can't do the ad shoot or these companies can't do these things. For me, the problem is when you manipulate people and do things like that and the tactics and get people engaged. That is the problem. The problem is when they start doing these things and tracking people in real time and all that. It's the problem. That is the problem that I have with these kinds of things. If they didn't track people and did all those things, then I wouldn't have a problem with this kind of technology, but I do because that is the core problem is that they're deploying AI and behavioral tracking and tracking people's behaviors and all of that. That's what I have a problem with. If they didn't do any of that, then I wouldn't care. But they do, so now I care, especially. It can include prompt, overlay, or even buttons to push content to a second screen. These formats are being framed as personal and responsive and are slated to be available across all ad tier markets by 2026, meaning that it is uh, it's not personalized and responsive. It is personalized and responsive according to how they manipulate things. So Amy Greenhead, president of advertising at Netflix, need to understand that you shouldn't manipulate your audience in this kind of way. You don't need to manipulate your audience, but that's exactly what's happening over there at Netflix. Uh, Netflix and uh, YouTube. You guys love to manipulate people, don't you? Which just further expands the surveillance state, which I've been speaking about, which I've spoken out against many, many times. I've spoken out against these very things. Uh, yeah, this is just further expanding the surveillance state. So, to manipulate your audiences and viewers, right? Because that's what they're doing. They're manipulating their audience and viewers. They're not making better measurements or delivering newer tech tools, better measurements, and more creative formats. They're manipulating their audience. That's what they're doing. No, you're not uh, delivering newer tools. You are manipulating people using your product and putting that in a database and storing it somewhere. Hold on. So I want to see something. Netflix and oh, there we go. Knew there's something there. So yeah, the NFA and Netflix. Uh, yeah. Yes, viewer behavior is turned into advertising capital. Rather than offering users more control and transparency, these companies are building increasingly sophisticated companies to monitor emotional responses, track habits, and blend commercial content into what was once private viewing. What used to be an escape from traditional ad models is now fast becoming a laboratory for them, basically a way to manipulate and track people's behaviors and habits. Instead of letting them have a private viewership, no longer about private viewership, but manipulating people through spying eyes of computers and technology. We need to stop manipulating people with these tactics and these kind of technologies and just offer them better movies or better things that can make their experience better. Not manipulating and tracking their behavior. That's very invasive and very wrong and uh, very extremely invasive and very bizarre and weird and odd and doesn't make any sense if you look at it from a rational point of view for YouTube and Google Gemini AI and their history over there, Google, the many wrong things that they've done. And you tie that when with all this with YouTube, and it's a recipe for disaster. Honestly, it seems like. So it's always about raising awareness about these kinds of things for me to educate the audience and people about these kind of things in general. Anyway, that is all. As always, comment down below. Like, share, comment, subscribe. As always, that is it, and that is all. Peace out. Get you guys next time. Bye. Bye bye. Peace.